The Ruger 57, it is here. There's been a little bit of buzz about this handgun for the past couple of days, some rumors. I'm going to go over as best as I can all the features on the new Ruger 57. Ruger has now joined the 5.7 club. Okay, if you're unfamiliar with the 5.7 round, commonly known as 5.7 by 28, it's a bottleneck cartridge going around 1700 feet per second, 40 grain bullet, and it is center fire, it is not rim fire. It's still 22 caliber, hence why I'm making a video on it, but it is a fast, accurate little round. FN introduced the 5.7 years ago, and they have a following. Okay, there's a lot of people that love the 5.7 round. I've made several videos on the 5.7 here on my channel down through the years. But the problem with the 5.7 in the past, you know, basically it's the cost of the firearm and also the cost of the ammunition. Now the prices have come down a little bit on the firearms and come way down on the ammunition. You know, I remember probably about 5 years ago, a box of 50 of the 5.7 would run you about 50 bucks, all right? Now you can buy some American Eagle full metal jacket range ammo like I was shooting in the beginning of this video. I've seen it as low as $14 for a box of 50. So it's like shooting a 5.56 or a little bit less. And you know, the round is fast, it's quick, and it's accurate. But one of the good things about the 5.7 is the recoil, or the lack thereof. The 5.7 has very little recoil. Let's go over some of the features on the Ruger 57, then we'll get into some shooting here a little bit later on. But, all right, it's a polymer lower, all right? The firearm is extremely light, 24 ounces. This guy hardly weighs anything. It does have a steel alloy, or an alloy steel slide, so the slide is beefed up pretty good. It does have a cutout right here on the top to reduce weight. The sights are fully adjustable for windage and elevation, and you do have a high vis sight right on the front of the firearm. This allows you to pick up on your target pretty quick. You do have an ambi safety right here on both sides, just like you would find on a 1911. And even though the 5.7 case is pretty long compared to that of a 9mm, Ruger designed this firearm that it's really no more length of pull between the trigger and your hand than it would be a typical 9mm. So the trigger's not way far ahead, way out here, so you're not reaching and grabbing for that trigger. They actually designed it set back pretty far, just like you would find on a typical 9mm handgun. You do have some stippling on the back sides and also on the front of the firearm. And the magazines, it is shipped with 2 magazines, and these are 20 round magazines. They do make or sell a different model that only has 10 round magazines if you live in one of those states that only 10 round magazines are accepted, but they are shipped with 2 20 round magazines. Like I mentioned before, or if I may not have mentioned before, at the beginning, it does have a pick rail right here on the front, so you can mount a laser, a flashlight, or even a pineapple. Your magazine release is right here on the left-hand side, like a typical 1911. And this is another cool feature about the 57. Ruger kind of, you know, thought all of this through. See these 2 screws right here? I'll get a close-up of them. But these 2 screws right here, you can actually take those screws out and you can get an optic plate on Ruger's website. So you can put you a little micro red dot if you don't want to use the open sights that are available on the handgun. You can put your little micro red dot. Some people can shoot those more accurately. I can shoot open sights or red dot, it doesn't matter to me. But for the video, I'm just going to be using the open sights. All right, let's talk about the trigger just for a second. It has a trigger safety right here. And make sure the firearm is clear, which it is, all right? I'll try to do this backwards. It's kind of hard to do this in front of the camera backwards. So the trigger right there is the wall, and right there, okay? It breaks pretty clean. Let's check out the reset here. Reset goes right out just a hair. Right there, there's the reset. So it's got a pretty short reset. Now that we went over, you know, the basics on this handgun, let's do a little bit more shooting. All right, I have loaded up 20 rounds of American Eagle 5.7. This is traveling a little bit over 1,600 feet per second. Now we're gonna go over some of the pros and the cons of the 5.7 here in just a moment, but as for now, we're gonna do a little bit of shooting. Now, since this firearm is not suppressed and I'm shooting still 50, 60, and even 100 yards away, the bullet is getting there extremely quick, and the 5.7 doesn't have a ton of energy, so it's going to be hard for you guys to hear this bullet impacting this target, or hopefully I will hit some targets. That was a hit. She runs great. I have put over 600 rounds of 5.7 through this handgun. I've had it about a month, and it has been extremely reliable. I have not had one single malfunction out of this handgun just yet. All right, let's talk about the pros and cons of the 5.7. Let's look at the pros, okay? The pros, you got 20 rounds of firepower. You've got a bullet that's traveling at about 1700 feet per second, and the recoil is very, very light, much lighter than that of a 9mm. A little bit more than a 22 mag. The 5.7 is comparable to the 22 mag, but let's just be honest, it is more powerful than the 22 mag. It's a center fire, so therefore it's going to be more reliable than that of a 22 Magnum. That's the pros, okay? The pros, light recoil and 20 round magazine capacity. Okay, one of the cons of the 5.7 is, I guess, the bullet technology and also the ammunition that's available. The 5.7 doesn't have a ton of energy, okay? I was shooting full metal jackets previously in the video at the steel plates. The problem with full metal jackets is they'll zip right through whatever you hit with them. They don't expand. They may tumble, but they don't expand. There are some ballistic tip bullets out there on the market with a little polymer tip. The problem with those is they only penetrate a couple of inches, and then they just dump all their energy right there at that one spot. They don't carry. So if you know anything like a Federal HST or something like that, it dumps a lot of energy right on impact, opens up. You've got a temporary wound cavity and then a permanent wound cavity for the penetration to go on through. The polymer tip bullets really don't do that. I'm fixing to introduce you guys to a bullet that is not out yet, okay? I only have a handful of them to shoot on video, but if you're familiar with like a Speer Gold Dot, it's a tried and true carry ammunition. It's been out for years. It passes all FBI protocol standards, but Speer is actually developing a 5.7 round using a 40 grain Gold Dot for the 5.7. I have got my engineering sample box of some Speer Gold Dots right here. Okay, I've got 5 rounds. Now these are engineering samples. This is not the finished product. I believe the finished product should be out around spring of 2020. The time of me making this video is right after Christmas in 2019. So I'm just going to shoot the 5 rounds that I have here and just see how well they cycle, and also if there's any kind of recoil difference shooting this ammunition compared to that of the standard American Eagle full metal jackets. All right, let's just go right here on this plate. A little bit more recoil. There's a little bit more recoil, but I can tell by hitting that plate, it hits that plate much harder. All right, for the $1 million question, how much are these guys going to go for? Well, if you know anything about the FN 5.7, I've seen those pistols go, you know, a couple of years ago for over $2,000 a piece. The price have come way down on them. You can pick up a new one for about $1,100, $1,200. But the Ruger 57, I think the MSRP on them is around $600. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's around 600 bucks. So that's about half of what you can buy an FN for. I spoke with the people at Ruger. This pistol has been torture tested. Like I said, I've put 500-600 rounds through it. It has went bang every time I pull the trigger. It's like a laser beam out to 100 yards. It's very accurate. It's very light. At this point, I can't say anything bad about it. It's got adjustable sights like I mentioned before, and half the price of an FN, you know what? Ruger may be onto something. Now that the price of the ammunition has went down, I believe that I think the 5.7 is going to become more and more popular. Guys, thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any questions whatsoever, put them in the comments below, or go over to my Facebook page, Instagram page, or Twitter pages and ask them there. Until next time, y'all be safe and keep linking.